Chef.
Okay. So today we're gonna share with you a little bit about me and what do I do. I'm sure that some of you knows who I am or heard about the restaurant, but I think most of the people know about Restaurant Andre, but not the rest of Andre. Yeah. So today I want to share with you the Andre outside of Restaurant Andre, or besides it's a restaurant, it's a restaurant that Michelin stars, World 50 Best, or you probably know about the book of Actor Philosophy and what else, or how I started, or how I end up being a chef or a international chef and doing what I do. And I'm thinking that you are now on the way towards your goal, and probably will be interesting for you to understand a little bit how I started and how eventually I achieve what I achieve right now. Yeah, so let's get started. In the middle, probably in the halfway, I will, if I have any questions, and then I will ask you, and by that time you have any questions, I'll try to leave a bit gap in between or at the end. So if you have any questions, and we'll see how many times we have left at the end, and we can you guys can ask questions. All right, so let's go. Okay. Can you guys see it?
Yes, perfect, Chef. Thanks.
Oh, good. Okay. I like this word fearless because when I first started as a kid, I decided to go to France on my own. I do everything on my own. I never think about what if I fail? What if they don't accept me? Or how an Asian is gonna cook French cuisine? How French people gonna think that this guy is cooking French? Or how I'm gonna beat all the best French chef that is cooking French? So I guess when I look back, what is the word that to describe Andre as it is? Fearless is the word that I feel pretty much what I was. Look, you know how feared I am. Okay. Yes, I don't believe in talent. I fight for my goal every single time. So I'm gonna start from the very beginning, how I started. I grew up in Taiwan, in Taipei, the most famous night market, the Shili night market in Taipei, and that's our house is at the end of the night market. So these street food is how I grew up with. So I always get off the bus, the school bus, at the beginning, one stop earlier than the stop that I'm supposed to get off. And then I'll walk through the night market, and then I'll buy everything I like. So that is something, since I grown up, my childhood memories all about street food. Okay, so I was born in Taiwan and started from when I was 8. We moved from the other place to night market, where you have a 24 hours. What I mean 24 hours is that the night market started at 6 p.m. and then all the way to 1 p.m. To 1 a.m. sorry. And then 2 a.m. we have the early market. So how the night market started in this particular place is that from 2 a.m. you have the wholesale of vegetable, fruit, and then they all come in the morning at 2 a.m. So the wholesale sell it to the businessman, and then the supplier buy it, and then they stretch to 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. and then 5 a.m. and sell it to the early market, and the early market becomes a family market about from 8 a.m. until noon, and then after you have aftermarket, where you can get very cheap price because the sellers try to get rid of it. Then the rest of the food, the fish, seafood, or meat, it becomes all the leftover at the end. It become barbecue, or it become a soup, it become a meal, and then that's where the night market starts. So it's like a 24 hours market. It's very special. So that's how I grew up. My mom was a chef. So starting from the age of 13, my mom started to train me to be a chef. So what is the game between me and my mom is that we'll go to a restaurant and she will say, we're gonna order a cup of dish. And the game between me and my mom is, okay, while we eat, we have to guess one ingredient inside the dish. So for example, sweet and sour pork. Yeah, so when the dish comes, I will say pork. And then my mom will say ketchup. And then I will say onions. And she will say pineapple. Okay, and then I will say white vinegar. And she will say sesame, or for so on, back and forth until the last person that couldn't come up with another ingredients who wins. So that's how my mom trained my palate. I think it works for everyone, to really train your palate to understand how in that spoon of soup or that spoon of sauce, how many ingredients is in there. There's garlic, or there's a cilantro, or there's a sesame oil. That was a game that even until today, me and my mom from time to time, we will play this game. The only difference is now most of the time I win. But when I was a kid, she always win. Okay, and so at the age of 14, that's where I decided to take it seriously, to take chef as a career. So my mom used to have a Chinese restaurant in Japan, in Tokyo, outside of Tokyo. So I said I want to become a chef. So I was looking at the TV. At that time, the most famous TV show was Iron Chef, but the real Iron Chef from the Fuji TV channel at that time in Japan. So I said, I want to go to Japan, and then I want to learn. I want to go to a professional restaurant. I want to be an Iron Chef. So that's how I started. I being a volunteer and a stage in a famous restaurant in Tokyo. It's called La Rochelle. La Rochelle is the chef, Iron Chef Sakai's restaurant, because I want to be an Iron Chef. So that's how I started my first job. Why I can work in a restaurant in 14. Yes. Basically, I'm not working in a restaurant or a kitchen. I scrub the floor. I clean the garbage bin. I do everything. I do everything. I enjoyed it. And then at the age of 16, I decided to go to France for my first experience. And then I work in the 3-star Michelin. Used to be the youngest 3 Michelin star in the world, the Jardin des Sens in south of France. And then at the age of 17, I decided to come back to Taiwan because we have the military at age of 18. So I come back for the army. And after that, I go back to France again at the age of 18. I didn't do the whole military service because my body didn't pass the test. Anyway, so once I arrive in France, I don't have anything. I don't have money. I don't, not like any other young chefs. They go there. They go to culinary school. Like you have a proper window to enter the Michelin restaurants. I don't. At the age of 16, I went to the Jardin des Sens and I come back and I said, that's exactly what I want to do. I'm going back to that place again. But after the army, I go back there. I have nothing. I have nothing with me. So what do I do to survive while I was working in the Jardin des Sens in south of France? You will not believe what I do. I do the human body test. There are many things in the lab that needs, before they become a real official product, they need human body test. Like they will ask you to sign one paper, and then they give you some kind of cream or paste, and then ask you to go apply 3 times a day. And then 1 week after you come back, sometimes you get super itchy or you rash, or you get headache, and they say, okay, what do you feel? And then at the end you get paid. It sounds crazy, but that's how I started when I was in France. And then I do modeling. I work for many very big high brand, Shampoo Cotier, Hermes, Louis Vuitton as a catwalk model. And then I use my free time to do vendage, to do foraging, hunting, farming, because I'm probably like most of you. The moment I arrived in France and I realized that French cuisine doesn't equal France. There are so many things that makes France become France. So I cannot only learn how to roast a chicken, or how to fry a piece of fish, or create a dish, or make a macaron. It is important, but all those creation come from your life experience. What do you have to eat? What do you have to eat in January? What do you have to eat in March? What do you have to eat in August? You need to know. And that is all the experience in life, not from school. So learning the skill from school is not enough for me. So I go to school. I don't go to school. I go to work, and then all my free times, I do everything I can to experience this country, to experience this city. And then every month when I have my salary, and then I will spend it all the first week. I will go to one very best restaurant, and then I'll spend it Why? Not because I enjoy doing it, but I need to know. I know very clearly to myself that if I want to be the best, I need to work with the best. If I want to be the best, I need to know how high the sky is. So I want to experience the best restaurant that I could possibly find in France. Not necessarily only the 3 Michelin star restaurant. Yes, I've been to all the 3 Michelin star restaurants in France, but also a lot of restaurants that those people think is the best in France. So every month I give myself a homework. I'm not only just go there and enjoy myself and ordering food and wines, but I do a report. I study the philosophy of the chef. I give myself as a homework. So once a month homework to do that. What is the ceiling? How high is the sky? I want to know. That's the only way that you can work beyond the best. So I will do all my free times on doing those things as you see. You know, I work to get extra income. I do vendange, foraging, hunting, farming, dinner, go to the market. I even work in the market with the farmers for free, because that's how I learn all the vegetable. That's how I learn about produce, learn about season. And then, you know, go wine tasting, work in the cellar, because only the free time I can walk into the cellar of the 3 Michelin star restaurant, and I can spend 1 hour there just to understand certain bottles, or what do we have, or why, you know. And then at the age of 25, I never moved to other restaurant, because the Jardin d'Essence was my first restaurant, my first experience. And then I want to make sure I master it. This is very important. I mean, for me, it's very important, is that I don't want to leave a place if I don't complete it. Yeah, I know there are a million great chefs in the world, but you need to leave a place until before that you have to learn everything. Yeah. So I work at the age of 25. I'm the executive chef of Jardin d'Essence, and that's where I move on. So for the first part of my career, I always tell myself that show your hunger to success and then your thirst to knowledge. What I'm trying to say is, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you got. It doesn't matter how old are you. It's how bad you want it, how bad you want to be in this business, and how bad you want to be a great chef. I don't think there are many people that willing to starve to be in France, or to work as a part-time model, or body human test model for living, just to stay there, and because I want to experience the city and I want to succeed. I want to be part of it. You know, we don't have the luxury from being a French that was born in France, you know, like, okay, maybe a 15 years boy can can tell me what is a good coq au vin, what is not, but I cannot. I don't know what is the standard. I didn't grow up with it. You didn't grow up with it. Yeah. But even I don't know how to make a fried rice. I can tell you which fried rice is good, right? So we don't have a privilege of being French or grew up in that environment since we were a kid. We don't know what is the standard. So we have to spend extra time or work extra hard to get what we want. And so I need to make use of my 24 hours. That's how hungry I was. That's how thirsty I was to knowledge. And then I will not stop until I reach the top. That's me. It's something that I always said and I always do, is I am that aggressive because, you know, we don't have time to waste. We need to catch up the memories or the childhood that we'll miss to being a French. That's what I said. You know, only when you know what is best, then you can exceed the best. Yeah. So if you don't know how crazy or how tasty a cuisine could possibly be, then you will not be able to exceed it. And many people ask me, Andre, so what did you do to make you different than others? So how could someone at the age of 25 being the head chef of 3 Michelin star restaurant in France, being an Asian, I was running the kitchen with a 35 chef. That was a huge kitchen. We have 35 chefs in the kitchen. And then you have mostly French, Italian, Spanish, German. And I was the only Asian at that time. So how could an Asian teaching French how to cook French? And that's how hard you have to put in your head. That's how hard you have to work on. And the second period of time of my career is after I left the Jardin des Sens. After being the executive chef of Jardin des Sens, I moved to Trois-Gaux in Rouen. That's where I met Florent. Actually, in the Jardin des Sens, we met each other already. And then, so I went to Trois-Gaux first. After I left, and then he rejoined Trois-Gaux. So we all work in the same place in our career. Then I worked for Robuchon for the first atelier opening in Paris. Pierre Garnier, Alain Ducasse, and Pascal Barbeau restaurants in Paris during that past 2 years. Why? Because the reason that I left Jardin des Sens after so many years is because I reached the top. I said, okay, I will only leave this place when I reach the top. Second is, we're doing Southern French cuisine, Mediterranean in Montpellier. But Southern French cuisine doesn't equal French cuisine. I want to know, I want to know Lyonnaise cuisine. I want to know Parisian cuisine. I want to know the rest of it. So Jardin des Sens doesn't equal the whole France. That's where I decide to work with the rest of them. And they are all, if you look at it, from the Jardin des Sens, so Trois-Gaux, Robuchon, Garnier, Ducasse, Barbeau, is the number one, the first tier of greatest chef in France at that time, even today, but at that time he's like untouchable. So that's where I said, only when you work with the best, you know how to exceed the best. After the last experience in the Pascal Barbeau, then I decide to travel around the world. And then I will go back to the Jean Renaissance, the Bourcel brothers. They decide to do a world expansion of their restaurant, their concept. And because I'm the only one that probably know their cuisine the best, I'm like their stepson. So they call me and they say, Andre, we need your help. We want to expand to Asia or to different places, and whether you can come back and support us. I say, yeah, sure. So from the age of 28, that's where I did all the openings for them, from Paris to Tokyo to Bangkok to Singapore and to Shanghai. So all the restaurant was crafted by me. All the restaurants was trained and the dish was created by me. So that gave me a lot of eye-opening experience, I should say, because you're going to different places. We create every season different dishes, you know, from the ingredients or elements from Tokyo or in Paris. And then we discover the new flavor, new spice in Bangkok. And so we create a dish from there. So it's really important that after we understand what is France is all about, we understand how to reach the best of the best. Then I start to see, you know, it's not only Montpellier, it's the whole France. It's not only France, it's the world. So I start to go even wider to travel to all these places. And it was great. It was a great eye-opening experience. At the age of 29, I decided to go to Africa in Seychelles. Why? Because it's middle of nowhere in the Indian Ocean, and you know, sometimes, or I should say, most of the time, every decision that we make, or today you decide to buy a red T-shirt, or you start to eat quinoa or okra, ladyfinger, it's affected by information. Even the things that you cook, the things that you create, the colors that you put together is affected by information, by messages. So when I start to create at that point of time, it's very much affected by what I learned before and what is around me. So what is the real Andre? What is Andre's cuisine? Am I cooking an egg like Jacques and Laurent Bourcel? Am I frying a piece of a veal like a trois-gaux? Or I did a asparagus salad like Ducasse? So what is Andre? I'm starting to ask myself these questions. So what is Andre at the end of the day? You know, I'm out of there, but that's everything that you learn about standard. Okay, that was the standard. So I decided to move myself to Africa, in the Indian Ocean, in the middle of nowhere in Seychelles, where I have no connections, no information about what is the trend, right now? What is the hippest topic right now? I was totally just me and the beach and the island. You know, I work on the island, but that nearly 2 years time allow me to think, if I find an asparagus, what is my favorite way of cooking it? If I found a piece of chicken, what will be the best way to cook it in Andre's way? So I have to force myself to stay in that place, and it was totally closed, and being honest to myself to say that today, when there's no standard, what is your standard? And you want to cook something that you feel is the best way of cooking. There's only one best way of cooking asparagus. That is your way, your favorite way. Or this is only one way of cooking tomato. That is your way. And what is that your way? So during that 2 years, I developed my own DNA. I tried everything to understand what is Andre, what is his own language. And then at the age of 32, that's where I go to Singapore. And that was the first time I go back to Asia after 20 years. Why? Because after that 2 years, I think I'm ready. And I found what is Andre's DNA, which is different from Jardin d'Essence, or different from Trois Gros, or Robuchon, or Garnier, or Ducasse. It's Andre. There's a DNA, there's a theory, there's a philosophy. That I know is me. So why today, when you see a dish, you say, oh, that's very Thomas Keller, or that's very Noma, right? Why? Because they found their signature style and combination, or even vocabulary. So the first thing when I arrived in Singapore, I opened a restaurant called John Paul Andre. And at the same year, so the year that we opened, it's a smaller restaurant. It's a very small restaurant of 24 seats. And so the first year we opened the restaurant in Swiss Hotel. 14 months later, the first 14 months later, we get into World 50 Best Restaurant. And that shocks the whole Singapore, because people still try to figure out that, because it's on the newspaper, people try to figure out that who's Andre? And by the way, where is this restaurant? You know, and it just suddenly this restaurant or this chef just parachute in Singapore, and it happened to be the world's 50 best restaurant. So everyone was shocked. So, but I think a lot of people didn't know about this story of John Paul Andre, never heard of it. Yes. The reasons being, so we didn't get into the want to watch list, or we didn't get into the top 100. We go straight into World 50 Best. And then I think that was 39, the first year. So it was huge. It was huge for the whole culinary industry. So I went to London and I get the award. On the way back from London to Singapore, I made a decision. The moment that I landed and I zoomed to Singapore, I zoomed to the hotel. There was a champagne tower and all the team was there, was celebrating. And then I said, guys, we're shutting down the restaurant. And the whole hotel staff freeze. Why? Because I truly believe that this is not the best of Andre. We are only in second gear. This restaurant, John Paul Andre, we were only at second gear. Or, you know, I don't think, I haven't pushed 120% yet. And we were in the world 50 best. You know, something is wrong. I don't think people or the diner is gonna be satisfied with what we could produce, because in my heart, I know that I can do 10 times better than this. It's just because we just started with our equipment, with our everything, we can't do it. Yeah, so we were just like managing. So I said, we closed the restaurant. And of course, everyone went crazy. But then I did. So the moment I'd arrived and everyone was celebrating, and I said, no, we shut down the restaurant. Why? Because the diners deserve better Andre. The diners deserve Andre to cook 120% of what he could possibly do. And that's how I push myself. You know, this is not good enough. You can do 10 times better than this. But why you're satisfied on what you have right now? I'm not satisfied. Yeah. Until the day that I can push 120%, and then the guests are happy, and that's it, that's me. So in 9 months, I found a place, renovate the place, open a restaurant Andre, in 9 months. So we started with 2 tables, but that was full on. I restructured a restaurant, restructured the team, restructured the menu, the concept. It's called After Philosophy. And that's where I go 120% full on. 3 months later, after Restaurant Andre opening, we were in the New York Times. So that's how everything started. So if I was happy with John Paul Andre being in the world 50 best at the first year, I probably will cruise for a while, for 1 or 2 years, and eventually we'll get there. And all my friends would say, Andre, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? I said, because my diner deserves better. And I know if I can do it. So I will eventually get there. Not eventually, I will get there. After we open Restaurant Andre, we go straight back in to the list with a different name. It's a different restaurant. Straight back into the list. So what I'm trying to say is, if you know that you can do it, it doesn't matter where you are. If you are meant to shine, you will shine, no matter where you are. So don't look down on yourself on, oh yeah, you know, I was born in the wrong timing, I was being in the wrong place, I'm following the wrong chef, or, you know, the team was not as good. No, if you're a star, you will shine. And after we launch Alta Philosophy, this book, and then we start the world tour, and then I start to realize that running a restaurant is not only a restaurant, but also in social responsibility. You need to show it as an example to not only our diners, but our peers, our younger generation, our farmers, everything, environment. So we start to push a lot of projects. As you can see, Rainforest Cuisine, Zero Wastage, Best of the Best, donation to all different kind of national disasters. And Ice Cream Uncle, it was something that I did in Singapore to support the oldest ice cream uncle that was selling ice cream on the street. He was 82 or 84 years old and was selling ice cream. So I was trying to use Restaurant Andre to help him. And then I do 22 university class per year. So that's what I found a social responsibility after Restaurant Andre. So I think the biggest difference between me and maybe the same, the chef at my time, or is this. I think taste is an expression of beauty. So it doesn't mean that, okay, I know how to cook, then I just cook a good food. That's it. No, I believe it's a way of living. It's an attitude to life. So you need to enjoy color. You need to enjoy creativity from any different format. You should enjoy fashion. You should enjoy technology. You should enjoy different creativities and designs. That is all kinds of expression of beauty. So you can't say, I like a good food, but I don't like fashion. For me, that's exactly the same thing. It's a study. It's an understanding of combination, color, understanding of balance, or expressing powerful messages. So that's how I train myself. I don't just look into cookbooks. I read the fashion magazines. I do, well, because, maybe I was modeling at that time, but, I like design. I like fashion. I like architecture, because I think it's exactly the same thing. The sense of beauty, the combination of color, the balance, is taste. Okay. And this is what I learned from my past experience, is that master your craft, being irreplaceable. What does that mean, be irreplaceable? What is the difference from A person to B person? You are in this world platform, competing with international competitors. How could you all came out from the same school, you came out from the same restaurant, but not so many people can become Andre or someone else. Why? Because I always believe you must, to be able to survive or lead a team, you must have one thing, at least one thing that better than anyone in this team, anyone in this kitchen or restaurant, be irreplaceable. Okay, so that is when you start to figure out, you start to think about, yeah, so what can I do? What should I learn? Someone are very good in creativity. Someone are very good in mathematics or organization or ideas, or I don't know. Or even you can be master of cleaning. Doesn't matter. You need to have one thing that's better than anyone else for you to claim your existence everywhere you go. And that could be from one thing to 10 things to 20 things, 20 things that you did better than anyone else. So always have to put that in mind. I don't need to learn the cuisine of the world, but I have to master my craft. I need to master something that I'm good at and make it the best and claim my existence. The next is more local, more global. We all came from different places. Besides learning what we learn, besides learning the French history, French culture, French cuisine, after we go back to our country, how do we combine that with our own DNA? Because more local, more global. Because that is not only what we learn from school, that becomes an international language, that becomes a personal identity, which sets apart from you and the others. So here I want to quickly show you what is after philosophy. You might have my book, After Philosophy, or you don't. But I just want to show you that what is my thinking process, or how do I construct a cooking philosophy to become a philosophy of Andre. Okay, so anyone can tell me that what is this? Anyone knows the ingredient of this yellow picture?
Is it the inside of a carrot?
Yes.
It's the carrot core, right?
Yes, very good. So this is the core of carrot. So how do we see the core of carrot like this? We never see a core of carrot like this. Why? Because we always prepare carrot in the same way. So if you prepare a piece of carrot, you peel a piece of carrot like the way that you peel pomelo, then you will see a different carrot, like what you see in this picture right now. So what I'm trying to say is, every day we are trying to find new things, new technique, new ingredient. But do we need so many new things to be cool? Or no? Do you know carrot? Do you think you understand onion? Or how many way of potato that you know how to make? We don't know. We don't know much. You think you know carrot, but you don't. You think you know onion, but you don't. Yeah. So instead of chasing endlessly the new thing, we should go back and dig into every single ingredient that we know, whether it's a piece of fish or clams or potato or carrots or whatsoever. And to think that, do I know these ingredients enough? And you will find endless possibility around you. And you will have a good time with a piece of carrot. Oh my God, you know, I can do this, I can do that. I can, there's so many things that I could do. I'm just so happy the whole afternoon with a piece of carrot. You know, it sounds crazy, but that's how it is. Because I think nowadays that because of the information, we're so easy to get, you know, you can Google anything you want. We stop appreciating the things around us, or we start to dig deep into every single ingredient. So that's how I start to look at things in a different way. This is one of the page in my book. I talk about how I analyze every single dish. So you have 8 elements represent 8 different ingredients and 8 different dishes. And they all have a sub meaning of each dish. And this becomes the criteria for me to identify which dish is called pure or which dish is called texture. Yeah, so I have a special octagon analysis to identify what is a salt dish or what is south dish. For example, these two dishes are completely different category, okay? This one is on the right, okay? On the right-hand side, this dish is vanilla, horseradish, and corn. How do I put them together and how it becomes, how do I categorize it? I use this octagon analysis to identify which category it has to be in. And then I put 8 different dishes that represent 8 different elements. Okay, and this is the second dish, the dish that you see at the left here. Okay, it's a squid, kelp, and potato. So obviously you see that it towards the other direction, and then it becomes another category of dish. So what is a perfect dining experience? Is that like you're boxing with your competitor, and then you give them the punch from all different directions, from the bottom, from the top, from the right, from the left, from the jab, from the hook. So you must give them every single dish in different dimension. So I must pull out 8 dish from 8 different elements, 8 different category. Yeah. So once you have this 8 different category together, it becomes a complete experience. And so if I overlap these 8 dishes together, it becomes like this. So imagine you have 8 dishes, 8 analysis together, what it will become. It will become a full octagon, a full round. Yeah, that's what author philosophy is. Anyway, so as we don't have much time now, I'm gonna go a little bit faster. This is what I did for our world tour of philosophy. I work with different artists. I was on the GQ for Men of the Year. We present the food not only just about cuisine or cooking, but also design, art. I involved in all different projects. This is the book cover of Art of Philosophy. And everywhere we go, when we did the world tour, there was many people, especially in Asia. Okay, this is the queue. You see that people was queuing to see the exhibition, even from outside. So yeah, that's in Asia, in different places. We did many symposium or different talks. And after that, I went to school. Like I said, I always believe that we need to start giving those nutrient to our young generations. Okay, this was one day. There's one day I took a taxi by accident on the street, and then the taxi drivers pulled out a book, Art of Philosophy, say, "Hey Andre, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time." No kidding, I was freaked out. So I say I must take a picture because this guy had the Art of Philosophy in his taxi. So yeah, that was just amazing. I was in school, so I was in different occasions. I tried to teach our younger generation about philosophy. This was amazing because we have over 700 students who was holding the Art of Philosophy book. Yeah. And then following after this is my next step of managing the restaurants. So develop your team as you develop yourself. You need to love your team as the way you love yourself. Cuisine comes from heritage, nature, tradition, and human. So if we try to understand French cuisine or any type of cuisine, you must study and understand their heritage, nature, tradition, and human. Not only the technique of how to cook. This is our restaurant, Restaurant Andre, and some of them you can find in all the dishes in the book. And we created not only Restaurant Andre, but also we created a lot of different restaurant concepts in Singapore, in Taiwan, in Chengdu. Now we have Macau. We still got 4 restaurants in Singapore. And this is one of the Burn Dance. It's one of our very hip restaurants. You can Google it. It's just purely wood fire. Bincho is a restaurant. We do a Chinese noodle shop with Japanese yakitori and Japanese whiskey bar. So it's really cool, trendy, and hip place. So after Restaurant Andre, we create a different range of restaurant concept. For me, what is the most successful restaurant? The most successful restaurant is a restaurant that works, the restaurant that packed with people. For me, that's the most successful restaurant. It's not 3 Michelin star. It's not the #1 in the world. It's a restaurant that people love to go and again and again. This is our restaurant in Paris. And now we're closed because of the COVID-19. So you will find that every restaurant has completely different style. You have a Parisian style, and then you have something more rustic, American. So it doesn't matter, you know, how or what the restaurant that you are trying to do or what kind of concept. There's no good or bad. Most important is you present the style, and then the restaurant has a very clear concept, very clear idea of what they try to deliver. So as you can see, every restaurant has its own style. And this is our restaurant in Taipei called Raw. So as you can see, the look is pretty raw And then the cuisine that we do combined with local Taiwanese flavors, together with, of course, the French inspired, the French approach. Our restaurant in Chengdu in Sichuan, it's a crazy restaurant that we built a bridge. So what you see right now, it's a restaurant that we have in Chengdu in Sichuan. So it's a huge restaurant that serve Sichuan cuisine. It's just straight up the Sichuan cuisine. But again, you found the DNA of Andre, the elegance of how we see things in a different way. It doesn't matter. Andre can cook French, but like I said, it's not only just about cuisine. It's about culture. It's about sense of beauty. When you see every single color or ingredients or flavor, and you want to do it. So at the end, I want to show you one video that, you know, my career only comes half of it. There's still another half that waiting to be explored. So I want to show you the last video. Probably seen this video, probably not, but that shows me of how Andre decide to not only staying in Restaurant Andre, but there are bigger mission of Andre that I want to continue of doing. So, yeah, please.
André?
Oui, Florent?
Salut André, je suis désolé de te couper,
Ouais,
j'en ai pour 2 minutes parce que je suis en réunion juste après et je suis déjà très en retard. Je voulais te dire un grand merci de la part de moi en priorité, de l'école et je pense des étudiants parce que tout ce que tu dis c'est extrêmement intéressant. Et je te retrouve bien là. Nous avec André on s'est connus en 2002, donc vous voyez il y a quelques années. C'est nos amis des frères Pourcel et tu vois il y avait Jacques qui était en intervention hier aussi.
Ah oui, super.
Donc vraiment un grand merci à toi André. Et ce que je voulais rajouter c'est que j'ai eu la chance de dîner à Singapour au restaurant André et je peux vous dire que c'est pas parce qu'il est là aujourd'hui mais ça fait partie de mes 5 meilleures expériences, que je ne parle pas de repas, je parle d'expérience, c'est ça qui est important, gastronomique, lors de mes différents repas que j'ai fait à travers le monde, sincèrement.
Wow, merci. Merci.
Donc André, je te renverrai un petit message, encore grand merci, je ne te coupe pas en ta rotation. Les étudiants, j'espère que vous avez pris beaucoup de plaisir, et j'en suis convaincu. Et j'espère que vous avez conscience du temps qui est très compté à André pour vous et qu'il a donné ce temps-là à votre disposition. Merci beaucoup André, à très vite.
Vas-y, on en parlera après. Ciao. 像那个你现在下面，那这个拿下去。 Okay. All right. So, guys can hear me?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so since we're running out of time, I just want to maybe answer a question that I will have here. And then, well, you guys know my Instagram or my Facebook. You can message me, or if there's anything that I could answer, I would love to. Yeah, I don't have 25 people managing my account. There were just me, Andre, until now. It's still like that. So you make sure that you can reach me if there's anything I can help you to support, or you have any questions along your way. I'm more than happy to help. So let me at least answer one question from here, from Simon, about where do you see fine dining in the future in the light of COVID-19? Okay, or a lot of people, not only COVID-19, I would say, the future of fine dining. A lot of people saying, you know, fine dining is dying. Because you know it doesn't fit into our lifestyle anymore, because the world has changed so much, or many people seeing that fine dining becomes way too unrealistic or expensive, or I don't know, unnecessarily or pretentious. But personally, I believe that fine dining will always be at the top for everything. Fine dining, first of all, how fine dining? How do we define fine? It's the same way of how do you define luxury? I'm sure the luxury of your parents' generation or our generation, we define luxury in a different way. So luxury will always be there. It will always be luxury. Same thing for fine dining. We just redefined it in a different way. Fine dining will always be at the top. Fine dining will always be the finest possible of how we describe the way of living in our generation. It's like, well, how we go back, we dig into the pyramid, and we try to understand that how luxury or how rich the culture was 3,000 years ago, how they live, and how rich their life was. For me, fine dining is to define in our generation how far we can go, and to show our last generation or our next generation, this is the way we live in. So fine dining will never disappear. Of course, because of the COVID-19, many places were suffered, but I'm a more positive person, and then I see it in a positive way. First of all, it's good. Well, yeah. For me, first of all, it's good to get rid of a lot of restaurants not that good. Not that good, not because of how they cook, not that good is because of the business model, the business structure. For example, for all our restaurants, we don't rent, we don't mortgage, we don't loan. We do as much as we could. Why we don't rent? We we choose to stay in one place as long as we could in every restaurant. It's not because we have that money to do so. It's because we take it seriously. I can rent one place and 3 months later I move to another place, or I move around from this to place. So, we're not serious about it. It's just like I can change my job. I can work for A restaurant and then 3 months later I work for B restaurant. Yeah, but if you have signed a contract of 5 years or 10 years, you will think differently. So for me, I hope that after COVID-19, people will take the restaurant business or the culinary career more serious than before. Okay, you will think twice. Do I need to have a restaurant this big? Do I need to get a mortgage and then open 3 restaurants? Or do I need to have 25 staff? What if this happened? What if that happened? What if COVID-19 comes back? Things like that. So it's a good thing. It's a good reminder for us to take serious of what we do, the situation that we were in, the business that we were in. So same as all of you, don't ever think that, I'm gonna work for that restaurant for 3 months and then I'll work for the other one and I can see many things. No, just think about if you can only choose 1 restaurant or 2 restaurants in your career, who would that be? And I think you will take your career in a different way. You will take it more seriously. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do so, but I'm talking about the mindset. Same with the business. Same with doing business. I have 9 restaurants. And honestly, I didn't suffer that much during the COVID-19. Am I lucky? Yes. But at the same time, I wasn't that aggressive of saying that, okay, I'm gonna borrow all the money, I'm gonna expand in 3 years, I'm gonna have 6 restaurants. And no, I do 1 at a time, and then I calculate this is the restaurant I want to be in this location, and it's gonna be here for 10 years or be 20 years. So I think it's a good way of thinking. After the COVID-19, people start to think differently. It's not just about rush, and get it out, but how to do it right, how to do it correctly. Shall we slow down? Should we think twice? That is my answer for you. I don't want to hold you back for too long. And anyway, you know how to reach me, whether from Instagram or Facebook, or through Flo Hong or through Amelita. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the course today, and most importantly, stay safe and stay healthy, and work very hard at your career. Yeah, work very hard.